everybody. Welcome to the Couchside Judges. I am Dan Urban alongside Scott Fontana. We are going to be looking at a previously published past judgment for a fight involving two fighters fighting this week. We got Henry Cejudo in Newark and Demetrious Johnson fighting in Colorado for One Championship's U.S. debut. We are going to bring you the original recording from episode 168. Here it is.
You picked the fight that we are deciding to go back for this edition, which we are calling Past Judgment Appeal Edition.
We get to rescore our rescore.
This is the one where we will prove how dumb we were, and we will reveal what our scores were originally as we go along, in addition to what our revised and let's say more intelligent scorecards are as well. But yeah, Dan, I don't think there's much more to say other than which fight we're doing, which is what?
Demetrious Johnson, Henry Cejudo II.
That's right. The 5-round close fight that took place several years back. Dan, before we go into the real spiel and get into the rounds as well, why don't you remind everybody how we score fights in past judgment?
Yeah, the CSJ criteria basically the same as the ABC criteria, which, as we mentioned earlier, is available at abcboxing.com. Like certified judges, we score rounds based on the 3 Ds, damage, dominance, and duration. We just made a few key changes. A 10-9 round is a competitive round in which neither fighter checks one of the 3 Ds by a large margin. A 10-8 can be considered for just 1 D, but should definitely be given when 2 Ds are achieved. A 10-7 is available for checking off 2 Ds, but must be given for all 3. We've discarded tiebreakers for effective aggression and area control, as these are rarely used by judges anyway. The rare 10-10 would only be given in largely uneventful rounds. All this helps provide for more varied scores that should more accurately reflect what happened in a fight. Let's set it up, Scott.
All right, so Mighty Mouse Cejudo number 2. We're going all the way back to August 4th, 2018, which at this point now we're about 3.5 years past. UFC 227, this was the co-headliner at Staples Center in Los Angeles. It took place right before the Bantamweight Championship headliner between TJ Dillashaw, who stopped Cody Garbrandt in their rematch. Mighty Mouse, at this point, as I'm sure everybody recalls, was considered the more not unbeatable, maybe, but no one was beating him at flyweight. That was for sure.
Definitely not at 25.
13-0-1. You know, that draw, of course, was actually a fight that I spoke about on Dan Tom's show. That we called out a 10-10, or I called out a 10-10 scorecard from Anthony Demetrious on that one, which if it went the way of Mighty Mouse Johnson instead of a draw with me and McCall, which is the final result of that fight, it would have ended up being a Johnson win, and they would have moved on. They wouldn't have had the rematch that Mighty Mouse ended up winning anyway. So, you almost can look at that fight as like it is what it is, but how often do we get 10-10s?
No.
And that's basically why we have what we have here.
Yeah, for sure.
So, he was the only champion of the flyweight division in the UFC history. One of his victories, of course, during that run was over Cejudo 2 years earlier, who got TKO'd in about 3 minutes. Vicious knees did that trick for that one, and there's some follow-up punches, of course. So Cejudo, he got his second shot at the title, coming off of a unanimous decision victory over Sergio Pettis, who is now the Bellator Bantamweight champion. Judges for this one are Sal D'Amato, Ron McCarthy, and Marcos Rosales, and the referee, Mike Beltran. And this, Dan, because we talked about this fight before, comes all the way back from episode 12 of our show.
Right where
not check it out.
We were hitting our stride right about then.
Do not listen to episode 12.
We had to
skip it. I think we were getting better at this point, but we were still pretty terrible. Plus, you know what? I'm going to blame everything on you coming out of COVID.
That works.
Yeah.
It's
and it rubbed off on me even though I didn't see you.
It's fair.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So, Dan, round 1, before you even explain what happened, I'm actually going to just say what our scores were at the time, all right?
All right.
So I think that's what we'll do. I'll say our old scores, and then you'll go into what happened, and then we'll say where we're at now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so originally in episode 12, Dan and I each scored round 1 of this fight a 10-8 for Mighty Mouse. Dan, what happens in this round?
There was a lot of kicking from both guys in this round. I don't think that I didn't check the stats, but it feels like they threw more kicks than they did punches in this round.
I don't know that off the top of my head,
Yeah,
but I would say that
that's
that
what it
makes a lot
felt
of
like.
sense, especially Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, DJ, he landed really good leg kicks. He damages the nerve in Cejudo's leg, and he's rolling his ankle almost every other step he takes.
Yeah, Cejudo does have that. There's that weird thing that happened. It was like a total non-contact thing where he steps wrong, and I guess
no,
what did happen then?
that's off. That's the Sean O'Malley Vito Vera Chito Vera
Oh,
thing.
okay.
You get kicked in the low kick, and it kind of shuts off the connection to the foot.
I
Throws
see.
off your thing. So there,
I missed that even this time.
yeah. So he ends up switching stances. So his left leg's a little bit beat up, but that
Oh, it's clear.
doesn't stop Mighty Mouse. He keeps beating up the leg. DJ landed a couple head kicks, but Cejudo landed some kicks of his own to the body and to the legs. But I think it's pretty clear that it's a DJ round. When they clinch, I think Cejudo has the edge, but he just doesn't have enough of it.
Yeah, I would agree. I gave this one a Johnson 10-9, which is a far cry from the 10-8 that both of us gave at the time. I think we were a little too much in saying, "Oh, it was just a clear round for him, so it's got to be." And I mean, it's definitely a clear round. It's not like a heavy action round, so it is what it is. I think it's not great to give it the other way for Cejudo, but this is still a 10-9. I think probably in any system, right?
10-9. Yeah, I don't even know where we were with a 10-8. Like, that's crazy.
I think we were pushing pretty hard to separate things at the time, is what it was. I will not go back and listen to it, so I'm
Okay.
just speculating. And again, no one else should either. But this is where it happened. So if for some reason you have to listen to how stupid we were then, it's there.
I'm gonna
We're
keep
not
an
going to
eye
hide
on
from it.
episode 12, see if we get any new listens.
I'm curious actually. We'll have to see. Watch the stats. And all the judges, of course, had this one Mighty Mouse. Nothing crazy going on here, judging wise. Round 2, Dan, and this one we at the time gave a 10-9 for Henry Cejudo, and that put Mighty Mouse still in the lead, 19-18 at that point on both of our scorecards. So, Dan, what really happens in this?
Yeah, it was a good bounce back round for Cejudo. Pretty close. For the most part, I think Johnson landed good leg kicks again, but I think Cejudo was landing some decent punches this round, and he was countering pretty well. Thought his shots had more impact than what Mighty Mouse was throwing. He does get a takedown late, and he doesn't really do much damage. He finishes the round landing some knees to the shoulder and to the side of Mighty Mouse. Nothing really all that impactful, but I think it's Cejudo 10-9.
Yeah, honestly, the knees at the end were really what kind of made it a lot more clear for me that Cejudo won the round. I thought before, well, not clear even. I would just say it was still close, but I felt much better giving him the edge. Before that, I thought it was really, really, really close. But it is what it is. I think that kind of solidified it for me. But I can understand why you might go the other way. I think, Mighty Mouse did have enough success, and there really wasn't that much going on the ground for
Right,
Cejudo
yeah.
until those knees.
Yeah, the knees, and even the knees aren't all that strong. But
Oh,
they're
they
okay.
they looked pretty decent. I mean, it's hard to say. We're not there. I feel like a strike like that, the judges being there in person, I feel like would get a better read on it than anything.
Yeah, I think it's more about the target that it's hitting. Like,
Oh, I mean, if you hurt
yeah,
it was the shoulder, right?
yeah.
You can mess up the shoulder with a good knee like that. Why not?
I mean, we spent our childhood punching our friends in the shoulder. Like, that's
Yeah,
where
but
you
we
punched
didn't
everybody.
train to be, Olympic level wrestlers
Yeah,
slash,
I know.
championship level fighters to
I get.
start
I guess
delivering that. There's a difference, sir.
I guess what I'm saying. It's not going to end the fight.
Nah,
So, but
I guess.
it did.
I
But
thought
it
they were
does.
good.
It's good enough offense. It's not like he just held him there. So
I
it's-
get what you're saying. I
so-
kind of disagree, but I do sort of
Okay.
get what you're saying. But yeah, either way, we end up in the same place, 10-9 Cejudo, which is actually what we did have at the time. So this didn't change. The actual judges, the only ones who mattered, because we're talking about this 2 times, and neither time does it actually affect the result. The judges at the time were Sal D'Amato and Ron McCarthy, seeing this one for Henry Cejudo, whereas Marcos Rosales saw this as a Mighty Mouse round, having him up 2-0. Otherwise, the fight is tied going into round 3. And this was another round, sir, that at the time when we first watched this, when we first watched it for the show, we gave 10-8 Johnson, each of us, to make it 29-26 in Johnson's favor. He's got a big lead at this point. Does that bear out in this round, sir?
Well, it was a solid round for Johnson. So I think
I think it's pretty clear.
I think it's a competitive but clear round. I don't think it's all that close. He lands some strong punches early, and Cejudo's on his horse, like kind of running away. Pressured him good, not allowing, and he kept landing to all targets, like Mighty Mouse does, body, leg, head. He's all over. About halfway through, Cejudo's the one that becomes the aggressor, has Mighty Mouse on his back foot, but he's not really landing anything. And anything that he is landing, it's not to the same degree that DJ is landing. So I think it's a 10-9 Johnson. I'm really not sure how he landed on a 10-8 again, but.
Again, I think what we were doing was we were looking for clear rounds. I mean, you said this is a pretty solid round, right?
Yeah.
Once you say that, I mean, maybe that was the bar we were using at that point. It probably was.
Probably was, yeah.
There's definitely a part of me that wishes we could do that a little bit more. And, no one's telling us we can't because it's all made up. We're the only ones in charge of this thing.
It is made up.
But
it's true.
I think we are trying to stick at least a little closer to how judges would see it, and treat the 8 more as almost like a 10-8 score that a judge potentially could give out if they had the capacity to.
Possibly, yeah.
It's not exactly that, but it's a much more close analogy. So, but yeah, I also had this as a 10-9 on rewatch for Johnson instead of an 8. It's just whenever it comes down to it, this is a clear round. Round 1 is a clear round. Round 2 is a close round. So, I think that's where it reflects out. But nonetheless, we have both of us have 29-28 for Mighty Mouse, which is the same score as judges D'Amato and McCarthy, whereas Marcos Rosales now has all 3 rounds for Mighty Mouse Johnson, as everybody gave that a Johnson round.
All right.
Going into round 4, now here's where things start to get real wacky for you and I.
Yeah.
And you lift the lid on this one.
Oh, boy.
Our scores at the time, I gave this one a 10-9 Johnson score, putting him up 39-35 on my card. You, Dan, you gave a 10-10 round.
How embarrassing.
Sir. Explain yourself.
I don't even know where to begin.
All right. Just say I suck.
That was horrible. What a coward. What a coward of a score.
It was very cowardly. We were definitely like that at the time. We were all about, oh yeah, you give out 10-10s. It's like, come on. You can't do it. All right, but yeah, so I have Johnson, you have a draw. What happens in this round?
Well, it started out a pretty good round for DJ, but Cejudo kept in it. He was landing some good shots of his own, especially that knee to the body and a couple good punches, in the clinch. I thought DJ worked the leg and body well, but Cejudo gets the takedown at the end. And while he's not really landing, it's about probably almost 3 minutes in he gets the takedown, probably like a minute 45 left in the round.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
While he's not landing many punches, he's still landing a fair amount. And some of them are pretty decent. Once he hears the clacker, I think, is when he felt safe to let it go. And that's when I said, okay, this is definitely his round. Because I thought those were the best punches from the top. So I went 10-9 Cejudo.
That's a good observation about those punches. And that kind of annoys me because it's like, well, you could have done more.
Yeah, he could have for sure done more.
Which is crap. Like, are you trying to win the fight? Or are you just trying to win? I mean, are you trying to win the fight or are you trying to win the competition?
Exactly.
That's kind of annoying there. It is what it is. He did what he did and he ended up winning the competition. So it is what it is. But I agreed with you. I gave this as a 10-9 Cejudo round. So I flipped entirely from 10-9 Johnson to 10-9 Cejudo. I still say this is a close round.
This was a very close round.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy to go one way or the other. I guess that sort of puts us into the 10-10 territory, right?
No.
Or at least you, because I didn't.
If Cejudo doesn't let go for those final, 6 or so punches at the clapper, I'd probably have a real tough time scoring it for him. I might pull the trigger for Johnson.
I think one of the things with Johnson, and this is bore out throughout the fight, the leg kicks. It's really how much weight can you give the leg kicks compared to the kind of what else is being done to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing really good work with his leg kicks. They really are effective, and quite possibly are the closest thing to anything fight ending that anyone did throughout the entire fight. But
definitely, especially in round 1.
But again, he adds to it. He kind of works it. He works it very well. It doesn't get there. I'm not saying he's close to the finish or anything like that, but he's landing strikes that are working toward a finish. They're effective strikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough in a round like this because it's so close and just enough happens with Cejudo here where I think you kind of got to give it to Cejudo. Yeah, but again, it's really close. I don't really have a problem if it went the other way. But all 3 judges actually did see this one as a Cejudo round 2, which tied the score on judges D'Amato and McCarthy's cards And Marcus Rosales still has Mighty Mouse up 39-37. So Mighty Mouse has already locked it up on his card. Just one more judge would have needed to see it for Mighty Mouse in this one, either Judge D'Amato or McCarthy. We know that doesn't happen, of course, but that is where we're at going into round 5. Imagine if there was open scoring and everybody knew that.
Oh yeah, this that would be pretty wild. Is this the? I recently watched a fight about where the commentators asked for open scoring. It probably wasn't this one. I don't think it was this one.
I don't recall it. No.
Yeah.
No, this fight is distinctive because the commentator, one commentator in particular, whose name will remain nameless, but his initials are DC, is very, very, very heated when they talk about the definition of a takedown, because they were saying that Cejudo landed. They said he landed like 4 takedowns. He's like, nope, he landed a lot more. He
got so mad about
that
that,
one for like a good 12 seconds of time, and then all they could do was just laugh about it and try to move on. Oh man, you can't change DC. But again, I who knows who I'm talking about? There's a lot of people with the initials DC. There's Douglas Crosby, Derek Cleary, Dominic Cruz.
Wow, there is a lot of DCs. Look at that.
Daniel Cormier does too, right?
Yeah,
he's got those initials. Oh,
yeah.
maybe
He's a wrestling coach too.
I forgot about that. Interesting. Fascinating. Let's move on though. Round 5. And this one, this is probably the most embarrassing of all, sir. Our original scorecards for round 5 of Mighty Mouse Johnson versus Henry Cejudo number 2. We just threw our hands up and said it's a draw. 10-10, both of us, because we had no spine.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
We also had no knowledge. Not no knowledge. We didn't have enough knowledge of how you'd really score a round like this. But it is disappointing. A little embarrassing, to borrow your word, I think.
I think it is embarrassing because I think this is Cejudo's best round. I think it's close but clear for him.
I don't even know if I would say it's close but clear, but I think it is. I felt like it was probably the best of his 3.
See, there's a slow start to the round. Both landed a couple kicks on each other. Really nothing going on. Some head punches. But where Cejudo shines is every time they clinch and they break, he's the one landing the shots that could finish the fight. He's landing heavy. Every time Cejudo landed a shot, it felt like the reactions on DJ were not him being rocked. That's not the right word, but definitely a little off balance every time he got hit. And like I said on the breaks, Cejudo was landing all the shots, letting everything go. Like this is he's like, maybe I'm actually going to try to finish the fight here. So that's why I'm on 10-9 Cejudo.
Yeah, I was too. I think this, like we said, this is kind of the easiest round to give to Cejudo of the 3. But I still don't know if I would necessarily call it clear. I am still sitting on more like the close, or even close but clear. I'm still calling this a close round where I can maybe see an argument for Mighty Mouse, but I do think it's much better to give this round to Cejudo.
Cejudo's round.
Another DC, by the way, Dave Chappelle.
It's another good one.
It was Dave Chappelle who was talking about the takedowns, by the way. I'm going to spoil it. It was Dave Chappelle
was talking about takedowns. Okay.
It was Chappelle and Rogan. It was a very entertaining card that time.
They headline together now. They tour together.
That is not a surprise.
Chappelle and Rogan tour together. So.
That is not a surprise whatsoever. But yeah, this is a Cejudo round. Why we couldn't have just done that, 2 years ago when we were first watching this show? I don't know. Like I said, it's because we didn't know what we were talking about.
That's true.
So this was this ended up. We now both have 48-47 Cejudo, which is the dominant scorecard that was given out by judges D'Amato and McCarthy at the time. Whereas Marcus Rosales, again, he gave the fight to Johnson. It was 48-47. It's not a crazy scorecard to go that way. Realistically, if someone had turned in 50-45 for Mighty Mouse, I think you can probably defend it. It's harder to defend, but it's there. I think there's at least something there to it. But we didn't have that. We had sharp judges who were on the same page, more or less, except for the one round. And we've definitely learned a lot, haven't we? From going from you had 49-46 Johnson, and I had 49-45 Johnson. Those scores are not based in what we should be doing, so I disavow them.
It's not. It doesn't. It's not the fight we saw.
And now the appeal has been granted, sustained. We rule in favor of the new scorecard, which is 48-47 Cejudo on past judgment. No 10-8s, no 10-7s, none of that. No 10-10s.